If you thought the WNBA CBA drama had already hit its peak, buckle up, because what just dropped isn't just a curveball, it's a full-blown organizational meltdown. And once again, Caitlin Clark finds herself standing at the center of a negotiation so chaotic, so backwards, so catastrophically mishandled that she reportedly walked out of the discussion entirely. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Her Hoops, your home for the real stories, the real frustrations, and the real conversations the WNBA doesn't want you to have.
What's up, you guys? I'm Rachel Demita, and welcome to the Courtside Club. Here we are again with more WNBA CBA updates. Who's ready for some more drama? Raise your hand. Anyway, I did not think that I would be filming another WNBA CBA update video for you guys, and it's not my favorite topic to cover, but I do want to keep you guys informed, and there was some new information that came out just today from Annie Costable. Shout out to Annie Costable.
And today's episode, this one is different. This one isn't just about money. This one isn't just about salaries. This is about a league office that is playing with fire, making decisions that could destabilize everything they've built over the last 2 years. Because while fans, media, and players were expecting a marathon of progress, a historic CBA breakthrough, a symbolic moment where the league finally meets its players halfway, what the WNBA delivered instead...
Well, she has been on top of all of this, and I feel like she has been breaking some major news when it comes to extended once again, and now the deadline is January 9th to get a deal done. But Annie Costable just reported today that the WNBA proposes cutting team housing and an earlier start to the season. The league is proposing a 7-figure base maximum salary, but it's coming at a cost. Now, I'll go over really quick the latest monetary offer that the league proposed to the players, and I talked about this in yesterday's episode in a voiceover.
Was a series of tone-deaf proposals so shocking, so wildly out of touch, that players across the league instantly pushed back hard. And the breaking point? The WNBA attempting to eliminate team-provided housing, a foundational benefit players have relied on for nearly a decade, in the same proposal where they parade around million-dollar salaries like a shiny trophy. That's right, they're dangling a huge paycheck with one hand and ripping away basic living stability with the other.
Because just last season, the max salary in the WNBA was around $220,000. Now that is going to be the minimum salary that a player can receive playing in the WNBA. So you can see the huge leap that the WNBA is offering when it comes to purely how much the players would make off of their salaries. Now, the biggest sticking point for the players has been the revenue sharing. Those targets, they will get this revenue, and the salary cap will continue to increase as seasons go by. Now for the kicker, the brand new nugget of information.
This wasn't just a misstep. This wasn't just bad timing. This was a catastrophic failure of leadership. And Caitlin Clark, alongside multiple player reps, reportedly made their stance very clear. Because when a league announces 7-figure salaries while simultaneously telling players, oh, by the way, you're on your own for housing now, it doesn't feel like progress. It feels like a bait and switch, a Trojan horse wrapped in corporate PR. And here on Her Hoops, we're breaking down exactly why this exploded into chaos.
Now for the kicker, the brand new nugget of information that we found out just today, and that is that the league has removed team housing from proposals submitted to the WNBPA. Teams have been required to provide players with in-season housing since 2016, and this is something very similar to what they do in the G League. So for G League players, they're provided housing. The G League players don't make nearly as much as NBA players do, and obviously it's a developmental league. Some G League...
Why players are furious, and why this moment right here may be the tipping point that defines the future of the WNBA. This is WNBA Chaos Live. To understand why this moment sent shockwaves through the league and why someone like Caitlin Clark would reportedly walk away from negotiations, you have to understand what these past few months have really looked like behind the scenes. Because the WNBA hasn't just been negotiating a new CBA, they've been juggling a perfect storm of pressure, expectation, and public scrutiny unlike anything in their history.
They're going to be making real money. Of course, they're not going to be paying for housing. I'm sorry, it makes sense to me. And I know a lot of the WNBA fans online are like, how dare you take away the housing? How dare you take away the housing? Well, if these players are making over $1 million, they should be taking away the housing. That's an added cost for the league, and hopefully it gets to the point where everybody is making significant amounts of money and they can pay for their housing. Now, people were bringing up,
over the last 2 seasons, this league exploded. Attendance skyrocketed. Viewership broke every record. Jerseys sold out in minutes. National media finally treated the WNBA like must-watch entertainment. And players, especially stars like Clark, Reese, Wilson, Stewart, Ionescu, became household names in a way this league has never seen before. And with that spotlight came a promise. A promise from leadership that this CBA would be different. That this one would set the foundation for the league's future. That finally, WNBA athletes would be compensated like the elite professionals they are. But here's the part most fans didn't know. The players weren't just asking for money. They were asking for structure, stability, respect, fairness, the basics. And one of the biggest, most consistent demands, dating back years, has been revenue sharing and guaranteed support systems like team-provided housing. Housing wasn't a luxury. It wasn't an extra. It was standard, a necessity, the bare minimum for a league trying to call itself major. Players trusted that leadership understood this. Players trusted that the CBA would address this. Players trusted that progress would be real. Instead, they walked into negotiations and watched the league slide a proposal across the table that looked like a magic trick. Here's $1 million salary. Oh, and by the way, we're cutting your housing. That's the moment everything shifted. That's the moment players realized something was off. Because the timing wasn't just suspicious, it felt calculated. It felt like the league was trying to distract players with dollar signs while quietly stripping away foundational support they've had since 2016. And once that happened, trust evaporated. Fast. All right, now let's break down exactly why this proposal detonated like a bomb inside the negotiation room, and why players, including Caitlin Clark, reportedly reacted with shock, frustration, and in some cases, flat-out refusal to engage until the league course corrects. Because on paper, million-dollar salaries sound incredible. A $5 million team salary cap sounds like progress. Guaranteed revenue growth sounds like a win for everyone. But when you zoom in and look at the fine print, the WNBA's offer transforms from historic step forward into something far more concerning. Something that feels less like player advancement and more like a corporate sleight of hand. Here's what actually happened. The league dangled a massive financial leap. 7-figure base salaries, higher minimums, bigger caps. But then paired it with one of the most aggressively anti-player takeaways imaginable, eliminating team-provided housing. Think about this. This isn't some minor perk. This isn't a cosmetic benefit. Housing is a lifeline, especially for rookies, for players on hardship contracts, for those who get signed mid-season, for athletes relocating to new markets with no time to prepare. It's the literal foundation that lets players focus on basketball instead of scrambling to sign leases, find roommates, or figure out rent in cities like New York, Los Angeles, or Seattle. And yet somehow, the WNBA believed it made sense to remove this, not adjust it, not refine it, remove it entirely. Pair that decision with the proposed earlier training camp start date, one that directly conflicts with the NCAA tournament, Project B, unrivaled, and overseas commitments. And suddenly this negotiation looks less like progress and more like a coordinated attempt to force players into year-round WNBA exclusivity without guaranteeing year-round stability. Players saw that instantly. They saw the angles, they saw the contradictions, and they pushed back, loudly. This wasn't a negotiation misread, this was a trust-shattering moment. And if you're Caitlin Clark, the league's most visible rookie, someone the WNBA is relying on to anchor their global growth, watching leadership sabotage their own momentum with short-sighted decisions? Yeah, you leave the table too. Now here's where everything flips. Because once you peel back the layers, once you move past the Twitter noise and the comment section chaos, you start to realize something very interesting about this whole situation. This was never just about what Aja Wilson said. This wasn't even about the Time magazine quote. This was about the media and certain loud corners of the internet trying to spin Aja's words into something they could monetize. Because let's keep it real. Aja Wilson didn't attack Caitlin Clark. She didn't call her overrated. She didn't dismiss her impact. She simply pointed out the difference between being important for the league and being the best player in the league. But the moment those words hit the internet, boom, instant content machine. Suddenly headlines were reading like, Aja Wilson disses Caitlin Clark. Aja Wilson attacks Time magazine. Aja Wilson is jealous of Clark's success. None of which were true. None of which matched the tone of the article. None of which reflected what she actually said. But why would they care? The drama prints views, and the views print money. So what happens next? Fans start fighting each other, not even knowing the real context. Players start getting questions about quotes that were taken out of context, and the entire conversation becomes less about basketball and more about internet tribes trying to win an argument. But here's the twist. Aja Wilson didn't let that slide. Not this time. And the way she responded, the way she shut down the noise, is exactly what sent the internet into shock. Because her clapback wasn't emotional, it wasn't defensive, it wasn't messy. Her response was surgical, precise, and it exposed exactly what the media was trying to do. And trust me, once you hear what she actually said, you'll understand why fans are saying this is the realest quote Aja Wilson has ever given. So after hours of people twisting her words, after fans started turning the Time magazine quote into a circus, after every headline tried to make her look jealous, bitter, or threatened, Aja Wilson finally stepped forward, and she fired off a response so sharp, so direct, so unbothered, that it stopped the conversation cold. No yelling, no paragraphs, no dramatic meltdown, just truth. Here's what she said, and remember this part, because this is what sent shockwaves through WNBA Twitter. Try reading the full article, it helps. That's it. Clean, lethal, and absolutely devastating. Because with one sentence, she exposed everything. The fake outrage, the lazy reactions, the people who only saw one screenshot and built a whole narrative from it. The accounts that didn't want context, they wanted conflict. And she knew it. She saw exactly what was happening. She saw the way folks were ready to jump down her throat without even reading the story. And that one line? It was her way of saying, don't put words in my mouth. Don't create a storyline I didn't write. And don't twist my respect for Caitlin Clark into something toxic just because it fits your agenda. Even the timing of her response was perfect. She didn't panic. She didn't defend herself all day. She waited, and then dropped that one sentence like a mic hitting the floor. Immediately the comments lit up. Okay, Aja cooked with that one. She said that calmly, but it hurt. People really didn't read a single line, huh? Even some fans who were originally upset had to walk it back. Because once you actually read the article, you realize Aja was praising Caitlin Clark. She was acknowledging her impact. She was giving her flowers, just not the ones the drama-addicted corners of the internet wanted. But Aja wasn't done, because she followed that message with another quiet shot, one that fans caught immediately. And that's where everything truly exploded. The moment Aja Wilson dropped that now infamous line, try reading the full article, it helps. The internet didn't just react, it detonated. Because suddenly, every side of the WNBA discourse had a decision to make. Some fans doubled down. Some fans apologized. Some pretended they never said anything in the first place. And others? They realized very quickly that they got caught chasing a narrative that wasn't even real. You had people who spent all morning calling Aja a hater, only to read the article later that night and realize she was complimenting Caitlin Clark for half the interview. And that's when the real tension surfaced. Because the truth is this, Caitlin Clark isn't just a rookie, she's a cultural lightning rod. A'ja Wilson isn't just the Aces star, she's the face of the modern WNBA. And when those two names appear in the same headline, people don't want nuance, they want smoke. But A'ja's response exposed something bigger, something deeper, something that goes way beyond one article. It showed how eager some fans are to create beef where none exists. It showed how quickly people will twist a black woman's words to fit their own storyline. It showed how desperately the WNBA discourse gets pulled into extremes, because A'ja praises Clark doesn't trend. But A'ja hates Clark goes viral in 5 minutes. And here's the real kicker. After A'ja called out the bad faith reactions, Caitlin Clark fans and A'ja Wilson fans started pointing fingers at each other, accusing the other side of fueling the drama. Meanwhile, A'ja herself? She was already back to business, working, training, laughing it off, living her life. Because she knew something the rest of the timeline forgot. She doesn't compete on Twitter, she competes on the court. And that's why this moment matters. Because A'ja's response wasn't just about an article. It wasn't about Caitlin Clark. It wasn't even about the drama. It was about control, about reclaiming her narrative, about refusing to let social media define her intentions or her character. And by doing that, calmly, confidently, precisely, she reminded the entire sports world of one thing. A'ja Wilson doesn't need to scream to be heard. She speaks once, and the room adjusts. Thank you for watching Her Hoops, where we break down the stories the headlines twist, the narratives social media exaggerates, and the truth the fans deserve to hear. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video with someone who needs the full story, not the screenshot. More drama, more truth, more WNBA.